Welcome to the Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we interview current St. Mary's University students and coaches. And today we've got on a couple of student athletes from the men's hockey team, Robert Roslund and Tommy Stang. My name is Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for St. Mary's. My co-host is Donny Nadeau, the sports information director. And Donny, men's hockey's been on a roll lately, and these two guys have been a big part of it. Always good to have hockey seniors on the program.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough day for them tonight, being senior night tonight against St. Thomas. So I thought it would be really appropriate to have two of our assistant captains for the men's hockey team on the show today. And as Dean said, first, guys, thank you very much for being on the show. And personally, for the last 4 years, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching you two play and grow as not only as hockey players, but as individuals as well. And I'm thrilled to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Donny.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, one of the things we want to do is, even though you're seniors, we still might need to introduce you to a few of our viewers. And so I just kind of want you to kind of hit the highlights of your past and your hockey playing past and how you ended up coming to St. Mary's. Now, Robert, you had a little bit of a longer trip to get to St. Mary's than Tommy. So we'll start with Tommy, and then we'll move on to Robert. So Tommy, go ahead, kind of tell us how you got started in hockey, and then specifically how and why you ended up coming to St. Mary's.
Yeah, it all started with the outdoor rinks. My dad initially put one up in the backyard when my brother was first, kind of getting around, putting on skates. So I got into that and saw that my brother was skating, and then saw that he wasn't using a chair. So I started pushing that out of the way. So I think my parents told me that I learned to skate before I could actually walk. So a big influence was both my parents, my mom, my dad, that really pushed me to play hockey. And then I just kind of played every other sport that I wanted to. And hockey just was kind of my passion, and loved going to Wild games. We had season tickets since the Wild have, been in St. Paul. So catching games there every year has been a passion of mine, and always loved going to watch a hometown team. So growing up in state of hockey, like, you can't really get away from it. So going into high school, it's a big deal kind of where you go. If you're a city kid, you kind of got to choose between, whether it's St. Thomas or Crean-Derham Hall. And my brother and I went to Crean-Derham Hall. My brother went there for 3 years and I went there for a year, and just kind of didn't really like the fit that was going on. And so we ended up switching over to St. Thomas, and that's kind of where my career kind of excelled a little bit more under the coaching staff of Tom and Greg Benelli. Both great coaches. Tom was All-American at the University of Minnesota, and I think his son was too, Mike. So great leadership there. And then going into juniors, just trying to find a pathway to any college or whatever. And since my mom and dad both went to St. Mary's, I kind of had a little bit of background information already as to St. Mary's. So I was recruited by Bill Moore. And then my last year juniors was kind of a little up in the air, and didn't really know if I was going to come in or if I was going to play my last year juniors. And then I got a lot of help from some faculty and a lot of different coaches, and kind of pushed me into St. Mary's. And I had already fallen in love with the campus already. I mean, I'd been down here multiple times for alumni reunions and stuff like that with my parents. So I enjoyed coming down here, and, it was kind of an easy fit when I didn't really have too many options. St. Mary's was my top pick at the point. So it was, a no-brainer coming in, being a legacy here. And I just try to live up to the legacy that my parents had held here too. So.
Okay, Robert. How does a person go from Sweden to Long Beach to Winona, Minnesota? I've been waiting 4 years to ask you that question.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a linear path for sure. I mean, just to start off, started playing soccer when I was about 3 or 4 years old, and that was definitely my passion. And my mom picked up a newspaper one day when I was around 5 or 6, and it was this ad that you can start playing hockey. And my family really loved hockey, but at the time that was more my like side gig, so to say. So I kept playing soccer and hockey, just to get a cutoff there with summer for soccer and then winter for hockey, up until I was like 14, where I had to like make a decision which sport I was gonna play in high school. So when I was 14, I moved away from home. So I lived 5 hours away. I went to a hockey school like the year before high school, try to maximize my potential going into high school. And then I was kind of just living around the country in Sweden, up north for a year, and I found a better fit. That was about 2 hours from home. Finished out school, and then I went back home and started college at home. With a major that just wasn't right. I was still aiming to do something within the field of medicine or something like that. It just wasn't my thing. So during that year, so I was 19 at that time, I got contacted by the coach in Long Beach on Facebook, which for me was so unheard of. So I didn't really know what to expect out of a message, but a few of my friends did too. And he had scheduled an ice time in Gothenburg, Sweden, which was very close where I lived. So we thought, why not go there and see what he has to say. And after the skate, we had a long talk with him, and he pretty much handed us the contracts right away. And off we went to Long Beach, which definitely was a highlight of my life this far. Coming from a climate that's very similar to here, Long Beach is definitely better around the winter times for sure. Less snow at least. So it was a great year. Hockey was fun. Everything was just, I mean, it was a long vacation for us. We were just enjoying the beaches like we've just never seen that before, really. And around Christmas break, we had a showcase in Vegas where I first got in contact with Bill Moore. And we started a conversation about me going to school, which was after just dropping out the year before. I was kind of in the middle of nowhere, didn't really know where to go. And I realized that my junior time was coming to an end. So once again, I thought, why not? I'll give it a try. And I was just going to give it 2 weeks here. That was kind of my mindset coming to campus, because I mean, I never went to a visit. I had no information about the campus more than from what I heard from Bill. And I mean, it was a tough start, but then the hockey guys came in a week later, and I've loved it ever since.
Well, Tommy, I think it's good that we have reclimatized him to Minnesota, Sweden weather, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. And Rob was actually the first freshman that I had met my freshman year. So I was like, I came down on a Thursday. I think the move-in was Friday or something like that for us. And he was the first person I met, and I was coming in at, 5'10" or whatever it is. And I'm looking at this guy who's 6'2", 225 pounds. And I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for college hockey yet.
Well, Tommy, I'm gonna ask. I mean, I guarantee you this interview is just gonna bebop all over the place. But talk a little bit about getting to play with your brother. I know you did some in high school, but what was it like being here? And take us back to last year when Jack was in your position, and it was his senior night, and kind of what you thought about that, and how you transitioned it to tonight being your senior night.
Yeah, I mean, he was instrumental in helping me make the decision of going back to juniors or coming in and playing here. So, it was, we were 2 years apart, so we never really got to play with each other for too long. And so we had the opportunity to play for 3 years, and it, didn't really work out at first freshman year. And then Bill kind of put us together at the end of it. And then after it just started clicking. Like, it was obviously the chemistry between brothers is uncanny, and then it just kind of correlates into a teammate style. So, I mean, working on different things, whether that was passing or shooting, we both developed as players together, and we, brought different aspects to each of the lines that we were on. And then when we were on the same line, it just worked out really well. And it was one of those things where a lot of coaches would come up to us after games, and they would tell us that obviously our line was one of the key ones that everyone was looking at. So it was, if our line scored that night, it was a tough time for other teams to kind of, beat us. And then if it wasn't really us, then it was, they were probably more so in the game. So it was kind of cool to understand that, people were looking at both him and I as these powerhouses that we really never thought that we were going to kind of be. We just enjoyed playing together, and we're trying to work off each other as much as possible. And we were trying to find that third line mate, and we found that in Ryan Stoyanich. So, all the way up until that senior night last year, I was, putting in as much effort as I could, just trying to make it as memorable as possible for him and myself. And when it came to that senior night, you know, I was hard back to hold any emotions at that time. So playing together for 3 years, and then now it's kind of, you got to look at it as, you know, now you got to find it in yourself to fill that missing link. So it was kind of hard in both ways to see him go, but I was happy and honored to play with him for the last 3 years and, you know, help him to pursue a professional career after as much as he could.
Robert, for you, I don't know if you've had a lot of time to actually sit back and think about tonight being your last home game. And I know this year's been crazy and so different, but have you been able to think back on your collegiate career and what it's meant to you to play at St. Mary's?
I mean, coming in, as I said, I had no expectations about anything. I didn't know the level of hockey. College hockey, I mean, we've seen it on TV at home, but you don't really know the level at all. So coming in, to me, I think the first thing for me was just the big step from where I was the year before to coming here. And it definitely took me about the first year to just transition into the hockey style. Coming from Sweden, where it's commonly known that hitting and the physical aspect of hockey isn't as much of a thing. Even though I might be one of the bigger guys, I hadn't really encountered the physical aspect as much as you might think. And I think that was just a big transition that I had to go through. And I mean, it's so surreal to me that this is our last home game. And I mean, in the fall semester, talking about it, all we really talked about was just, we need one game because we need some closure at least, because you want to know when it's your last game at least. And I mean, getting to play some games this season has been, I think, big for all of us, especially the freshmen too, coming into next year, and for us seniors to kind of end the chapter in a way.
Well, Tommy, a little bit earlier, you talked about the first time you met Robert and kind of looking up to him literally, right? But clearly, Coach Egan has now made a concerted effort to bring in a lot of size into the team. So, Tommy, your reaction, like the first time you met, say, a Bud Winter or a Noah Kimmel, you know, and some of the other new freshmen that he's brought in that not only have some size, but a few of them have some bulk too.
Yeah. I mean, we've always been working as a team that we've been fast in the past, and now we're looking more so into, you know, gaining an extra physical element to our team. And when we started committing some of these guys, we were getting, you know, the 6'2s, the 6'4s, and we're getting away from the traditional 5'10 or 5'11, 5'9, whatever it was. And you look at these guys when they're off the ice, and, you know, they're big teddy bears. They're great guys. And then as soon as they get on the ice, it's like a switch that just flips in them, and it's physical aspects. You can't move them off the puck. It's a different type of hockey, even in practice. So we're always competing against each other. And I'm always trying to, you know, push off the bigger guys as much as possible to show that the little guys can still play a little bit in the physical aspect. But no, I think those guys are a great asset to our team. I think, you know, usually everyone looks at St. Thomas as St. Mary's as a fast team. And now we're kind of going up against a team like St. Thomas, where, you know, they're getting a little bit smaller in what they got now. And I think with our size, it's really helped with the physical aspect of taking guys out of plays, or, you know, whatever it may be, to just add a physical aspect to it. And Coach Egan has done a great job of recruiting great guys who produce, you know, both on and off the score sheet, whether that's hitting, blocking shots, you know, scoring, whatever it may be. So it's great to see that, you know, we're getting a dynamic group in here, and we're not just set on one style of play.
You know, Robert, question for you. And really, anytime a coach gets to a season, he relies on his seniors to lead the way. You and Tommy wear the A's, which, you know, in a hockey world, that's one of the most honored things you can have, is that A or that C on your jersey. What did that mean to you when the team voted you as an assistant captain?
I mean, just to start, I was actually really surprised. When we had the exit meetings, I was back in Sweden for the summer after we got shut down in the spring, and they told me I was going to be one of the assistant captains. And I mean, I hadn't like prepared a reaction, so it was just out of nowhere. But I mean, it was very honored, and I mean, I've just tried to be the biggest team guy I could be, and I'm really happy that they see me as a leader of the group.
And Tommy, how about you?
Yeah. I mean, after my sophomore year, it was kind of, and a lot of guys took it upon ourselves to kind of step up a little bit. And I've never worn an A or C in my life. So getting the honor to kind of do it this year was really special. And kind of like Robert said earlier, it was more of a little bit of closure that it's an accomplishment that I obviously wanted to see. And I've never really had a letter on my chest before, whether that's in any sport. So it kind of gave me a little bit more closure to see that, you know, my teammates respected me and saw me as a leader, both on and off the ice. And I kind of got to finally visualize that on the jersey and show that on the ice a little bit more this season. So, I mean, I was super honored that they had really voted me for that.
Tommy, how did that game winner about a week or so ago feel?
Yeah. I mean, scoring a goal in general is always so fun. But when it came down to the OT winner, I mean, there were a lot of different things going through my mind. It was just making sure that obviously we won the game and we were working the puck around. And I was talking to Coach Egan after, and he looked at all of us and said, I mean, we've never practiced a 4-on-3 before. It's never really come up in a conversation. And he just said that the 2 times that we had done that night, we looked composed. We knew what we were doing, and it just, everything worked out. You know, we got the bounces, the puck luck, you know, whatever it was that happened to be there. And I to be honest, I don't remember actually seeing the puck go in the back of the net. I just saw kind of a wide open cage, and I just kind of saw everybody celebrating, turned around. So it was pretty crazy. And I definitely had a smile on my face to this day from it.
Dean, that net was so wide open, I could have scored that goal. I don't know if you guys have thought about this, and I'll ask it in general, and both of you can answer, but when you take the ice tonight against St. Thomas, it will be the last time that St. Mary's and St. Thomas face each other as MIEC opponents, because St. Thomas is leaving the conference after this year. Does that add any more meaning to tonight's game, other than being senior night and your last home game? Does that add even more to this game?
I mean, I feel like we just in general have a lot to prove. We've been close in the other 2 games against St. Thomas this season, and you know, we just can't do that 3 times. And it's our time. We're on our home ice for the last time wearing the white jerseys, and I would just hate to see us lose. And we're definitely not losing again. So we learn from our mistakes, and it's all about the details in those games, especially when you play teams like St. Thomas. They will take advantage of anything or everything. So it's a big game overall in every aspect, and I'm really excited for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we've been marking every game that we have on the calendar against them. The first game obviously didn't go the way that we wanted. We were all over them in the first period, and then just kind of let up a little bit. And then, you know, like Rob said, they took their advantages when they could, and whatever it was, and went on to the second game and deadlocked 3-3 going into the third period. And like, again, it's power plays are a big thing in this conference, and they took advantage of theirs when we didn't. And that was kind of the game decider. So we're inching one goal closer every time that we played them. We lost 4-2 the first one, 4-3 the second one. So, you know, maybe tonight we'll shut them down a little bit better. And it's pretty excited. And obviously we have something to prove. And as going forward, not only just against St. Thomas and showing what they got, but also kind of what we have as a program here, and showing opponents in the future that, you know, when you come into our house, you're not going to be pushing us around.
Hey, Tommy, before we started recording, we were talking about the schedule, and I'd like you to share some of the thoughts you had with our viewers. You know, you've gone from playing Friday, Saturday, back-to-back games to a lot of games that are very spread out. Sometimes you play on a Tuesday night and then not again until the next Tuesday night. Sometimes it's a Tuesday, Thursday. Your perspective on that, you know, schedule that's very different from other years, and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, this year, obviously, with all the regulations, it's tough to kind of get some travel and everything. But the weekday games kind of gives you a little bit of break on the weekends. Kind of frees up some more time with whether you have to work on some aspects of your game or systems, whatever it is. But playing Friday, Saturday in a conference where you got 25 games and, you know, it's end to end, whatever it is, it's going hard all the time. And you play a team like Bethel on this last weekend. We play them on Saturday, and you think about that game, it goes overtime. It's a back and forth game. And then you got to go up and play them again up at Bethel the next day, and you got to go do it all over again. And sometimes you don't have the same lineup that you do the night before. So it's really tough to kind of keep your bodies in the right shape, keep your mind in it, make sure that, you know, you're not taking a shift off, you're not taking a night off, whatever it is. But we do a great job with our coach. Is our strength and conditioning coach, Matt Sager, works on us with a lot of conditioning and strength and making sure that, you know, when something does happen, if we're not playing at 100%, we're playing our best at whatever it is, 80 or 75% to make sure that we can do whatever it is. But I think these weekday games kind of help spread out a little bit. So if people are injured or they're off to the sideline of, you know, whatever happens, it just kind of gives a little bit more of an intense feeling when you got a Tuesday, Thursday game, because you got the best guys in the lineup and the best conference in the country, as I would say.
All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into some personal questions. After that, we're going to close out the show. I just want to kind of get your thoughts on the future for both of you and what you might be looking at or thinking as, you move on from here. But before we get to that, we're going to have a little fun. So Donnie, I'll let you start us out with some of the questions here.
All right, Your Honor. We'll start with, we'll alternate them here. We'll start with Robert on this one, since he had come all the way from Sweden. Robert, you're on a road trip. Where's the one place you absolutely have to stop to have dinner?
I've fallen in love with the Chick-fil-A train. A lot of hockey guys have been hyping that up for a few years, and it took me some time to try it, but I'm definitely stuck now, so I would have to pick Chick-fil-A.
Tommy, how about you?
I'm going to go on the opposite side and say Raising Cane's. So I can't get away from their sauce that they got there. I know it's kind of a little feud that Chick-fil-A and Cane's has got going on, but I'll stick with Cane's for mine.
Go ahead, Dean.
All right, guys, it's a rainy day. Or let's just say you need to procrastinate from your studies for a little bit. What TV show, Netflix program is the go-to? Robert, you can go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely have to go with the Big Bang Theory. I just can't stop watching it. So.
Yes.
For mine, I would say I watched it earlier, but I'm rewatching it again. It's just something I've kind of liked. Designated Survivor on Netflix. So pretty interesting show there.
We get to skip Tommy on this one since he already answered it. So Robert, favorite sports team?
Washington Capitals, just a bandwagon, but I have some key players that I like.
And who's your favorite athlete, Robert, then?
That would be connected to the soccer aspect. I would have to say Zlatan Ibrahimovic, probably the best Swedish soccer player ever made.
And we'll have Donnie both pronounce and spell that at the end of the show.
No, we won't. I have enough trouble with I have enough trouble with Robert's hometown.
Tommy, who's your favorite athlete?
I'm going with kind of a mix of two right now. I work with Connor McDavid and Yanni Gord of Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll get into it later, obviously, with kind of career paths, but Connor McDavid, I see the speed and I try to use it as much as possible. And then Yanni Gord he's got a whirlwind of a journey for his hockey career. So I kind of look up to him in different aspects. And I think that he's got a lot to add as a player. So that's kind of why he's one of my favorite guys right now.
I'm skipping down, Dean, and I'm just giving these two a heads up. I'll turn my volume down because Coach Egan is right next door, but I want you to give me your favorite Coach Egan impression.
I'm really bad with doing voices. I would have to say just a quote, "This is not a punishment, just to see where you're at." And when you hear that line, you're just not in a good spot.
It must be for Lucky, right? that a lucky?
Yeah, no, it's not one lucky. It's probably more than one, but I mean, it's just to see where we're at though. So it's no punishment, so that's good.
Tommy?
It was a pretty iconic line. You couldn't get away from it. It was, I mean, obviously the Luckies have been talked about before. So, yeah, it was just one day after practice, and we were just kind of looking around and thought we had a good practice. And he just looked at all of us and said the line, and we were like, okay, sounds good, I guess.
So what I'm going to do next is we're getting a little bit low on time here. So I'm going to kind of combine two questions into one. We'll start with Robert and then finish off with Tommy. So Robert, first question would be, I want you to tell us about your favorite hockey moment at St. Mary's, and then kind of fill us in now on what you're looking toward the future here after St. Mary's.
Yeah, so my favorite hockey moment would definitely be the win in Oswego last year, and just everything that went into it. The long bus trip might have looked like a drag before we went on it, but we had a lot of fun on the bus, and it was a lot of hours, but we enjoyed the way there and definitely enjoyed the way home with the trophy in the bag. So I mean, it was just an overall good experience, and I think especially for the seniors, we had a pretty big senior group graduating, and it was just a great moment overall for all of us. And then what I'm looking to for after the season, obviously there's a lot of paperwork for me to stay here, transitioning from a student visa to a work visa. It's more work than I expected. I've turned all of that in, and I've been open to opportunities, and I've been looking for anything or everything. And then on the flip side, also factoring in that maybe I will end up going home. So I've been looking into the job market there as well, and factoring in, like I can't make a decision about the hockey yet. I've been talking to Tommy and Al Rogers. That are both interested in playing after, and maybe we'll end up in Sweden like Jack Stang did last year. I feel like that could be a trip on its own.
And Tommy, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, the trip out to Oswego last year is probably one of my favorites. That and our freshman year, we had our home opener against St. Thomas. And I mean, I think even before starting lineups happened, it was a packed full of everyone. So I think we ended up sweeping that weekend, and it was, I mean, first real actual collegiate weekend, and understanding what this conference was about kind of excited me for the rest of my future. But definitely, I mean, the Oswego trip was super fun. As soon as we saw that trophy, I knew that it might have not come back in two pieces, and you know, we'll leave that to a little bit of a discussion for some. But no, I mean, we got it. We got the trophy back in time and everything, and we still have it. But yeah, no, definitely that trip with the seniors, especially spending it with guys like my brother, Kyle, Dylan, Debaka, all those guys were just, I mean, they enjoyed every part of it, and it just made it a little bit more special that we ended up winning it.
And then what are you looking at doing after college here?
Yeah, hopefully trying to stay on the trajectory that I am with my hockey career, looking into professional opportunities as much as I can. I mean, if I'm still in this young body and I can still play, I might as well go find somewhere to play. So whether that's over in Europe playing with Rob and Al for a year, or doing whatever, and maybe either staying here and finding a nice little home, but definitely looking into the future of trying to play professional hockey. Obviously watching the Wild every year kind of saw my trajectory, wanting to go there a little bit better. And I just saw it as a fun little opportunity, and who knows, I might be able to make a little bit more of a career out of it.
Well, I know I speak for Donny when I say thank you for your entire career here at St. Mary's, and for joining us on the show today, and certainly best of luck with all of your goals in the future here.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Donny. Thanks, Dean.
All right. That's going to do it for Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.